What is going on, everybody? My name is GiraffeAnatomy, and this is another Smite Quick God Guide. Today, the god we will be looking at is Cerberus, the Warden of the Underworld, the three-headed goodest boy of Hades himself. I caught Cerberus smiting somebody in the back room. I had to get my newspaper out, smack him on the nose, tell him no, but he's good now. So without further ado, what we're going to do is we're going to get into some jungle practice. I will go over Cerberus's abilities, talk a little bit about how you can utilize them together, how they work, how they operate, and hopefully by the end of this video, the goal is that you're able to take Cerberus into a game mode like Arena, Joust, / Conquest, and be able to use him effectively, know what his kit is, know how to build him a little bit as well. So without further ado, we will get into jungle practice. We will pick Cerberus and get right to it. So Cerberus is classified as a guardian in Smite. That means he is a magic damage dealer, and he also is a short-ranged basic attacker. So his basic attacks are within melee range. He does magical damage. He is best built for support and solo. Those are the two roles that you will find him in the most. The reason is his kit, right? The way his kit works and his operates, the way we'll talk about it today, he can flex into either of those roles really well. He does a lot of anti-healing. He does healing to himself, so he has some sustain in his kit. He's able to hamper the healing of other gods, so he works really well in either of those roles. We'll talk a little bit later on how to build both of those. As a support, he's normally more tanky with some cooldown. And then as a solo, he's going to build a hybrid of tanky items and some damage items, right? So let's do this. I'll level all his abilities up, and then we will talk about Cerberus's passive. So Cerberus's passive is called Spirit of Death. Anytime an enemy god within 40 units of Cerberus is healed, that healing is reduced by 25%, and Cerberus receives 50% of the heal. Cerberus reduces all types of healing and steals from all types except HP 5. The amount stolen is based off of the heal's base effect and does not include any increase or reduction applied. So what does this mean? Basically, Cerberus has an anti-heal aura already built into his passive, right? So if you've ever gotten things like Pestilence before, this is basically like a built-in Pestilence. So he is really good against gods that do a lot of healing. If you see multiple enemies on the team that have healing, it's a good idea to pick Cerberus up for support or even as a solo lane. This is also why he's really good in solo lane as well, because in solo lane, you are going to first gods like Guan Yu, Hercules, gods that have a little bit of sustain or healing built into their kit. With Cerberus's passive, however, if you do see like a Guan Yu or Hercules, so Hercules heals with his 3, Guan Yu heals with his 1, you will be reducing that healing by 25% if you're within 40 units, and Cerberus is going to receive 50% of that heal himself. So this creates sustain for you in lane, and it's hampering your enemy's ability to heal, right? The other thing that you need to know is the 40 units, right? So if you didn't know if you're applying this to an enemy or not, if I get close to Odin here, see how that he has that aura debuff and then it goes away, then it comes back here, then it goes away. That is letting you know, hey, they are within Cerberus's anti-heal aura. So they are being affected by this. So as long as you're about this close to them, right? This is kind of like the limit, the range right here. You're going to be doing this effect to them. And you do this to multiple enemies, right? So you can see, you can do it to multiple enemies as long as they're within that 40 unit range of you. You're going to be doing this. The only type this doesn't work on is HP 5. What is HP 5? That's basically health per 5 seconds, right? So some gods have this in their kit, like Ares. He applies HP 5 when he uses his 2 to his teammates around him. Items have this, like Sovereignty, right? So Sovereignty will give you 35 HP 5, right? This doesn't reduce that type of healing, right? So it's all types of healing except the HP 5, right? So yeah, and you're stealing healing from your enemies, so it's a really good passive, and it's a really great way to hamper hamper healers on the other team, right? So Cerberus is a good anti-heal god. You can then stack this with something like a Pestilence. He's going to be doing a lot of anti-heal aura with just one item and his passive. Really great utility character in that way. So now let's talk about Cerberus's abilities. We will go over his first ability first. Cerberus's first ability is called Paralyzing Spit. Cerberus's snake tail spits venom that passes through and damages enemies. If Cerberus's dog heads are alert, they then also spit venom when the ability is fired. Each head is alerted upon hitting an enemy with a basic attack, and all are alerted after Ghastly Breath. That's his 2. Each projectile that hits the same target deals 20% less damage, but hitting an enemy with all 4 stuns them. Alright, so what does this all mean? Basically, this is what the ability looks like when nothing's charged up and you don't have the heads alert. It's just going to shoot out a basic projectile from his tail head there, and it's going to do damage to the enemy. Now, the way you really get utilization out of this is if all of Cerberus's heads are alert. The way you can alert Cerberus's heads are either by basic attacking or by using Ghastly Breath, which is his 2. With his basic attacks, you have to attack with each head to fully stack them, and then that's how you can see kind of this this meter filling up here. Right now, all 3 of his heads are alert. They will stay alert until you use your 1. Right. So basically, now that all of them are alert, you will see that the ability looks a little different. The lane on the right and the left are now lit up, and when you do this, you will see that it will stun them if you hit them with all of the projectiles. One thing to note about this, especially when stacking his heads, if you only stack 1 head, it's not going to work, right? If you only stack 2 heads, it's also not going to work. I'll show you. See how only the left and the middle one are lit up? The right one isn't yet. Even if you hit him with all of those, it's only going to do the extra damage. It's not going to get the stun on them. You need to have all the heads lit up. The other thing is, when you initially attack in your attack chain, you start with the middle head. If you attack them once and then back off and then go to basic attack again, see how the middle head starts the attack again? You didn't get a second head here. So you can keep doing this over and over. You're not going to stack all your heads. You need to go through your basic attack chain to stack all of the heads, right? So you have to go 1, 2, 3. You need to get that left and the right head in on it so that now it's stacked. And that's the way to stack it with basic attacks, right? So once again, now that they're all stacked, if you hit them with your 1, you will do all the extra damage. So you see the initial like 397, right? And then you're going to get all of that other all the other damage from all the other ones as well, right? So not only are you doing extra damage because you're adding more heads in there, but you're getting the stun off as well. So let's talk about his second ability, which synergizes with Cerberus's first ability. So the main first ability, right, does damage. The more heads shooting, the more damage you do, but they do 20% less damage, right? More that hit the target, they do 20% less damage, but hitting them with all 4 stuns them. So just remember, light the heads up, use your 1, and you will stun them, but you have to hit them with all of them. Really quick, I just want to show you, even if you have all of these lit up, if you're too close and you miss them with these abilities, it will not stun them. See how he doesn't get stunned there? You need to hit them with all of the projectiles, and there's a sweet spot to do that. You can practice that, figuring out where that sweet spot is, but it's kind of like sort of towards the end there. So remember, don't get up too close, because if you do, you're going to miss them. You need to kind of hit them like right around here is where that sweet spot is, where you're going to hit it like more consistently, right? So it is sort of at a distance where you're going to get that stun. So let's talk about Cerberus's second ability, called Ghastly Breath. Each of Cerberus's 3 heads releases a cone of noxious breath in front of them, damaging all enemies in range 7 times over 2.4 seconds, and reducing their magical protection up to 3 times. Enemies in the center of his breath are slowed up to 3 times. This attack immediately puts all 3 of Cerberus's heads on alert for Paralyzing Spit. So what does this mean? First of all, you're doing tick damage, and it's like a channeling ability, right? So you can be like stunned out of it and things like that. So that's one thing you need to be aware of. But basically, this is what it looks like. Anything in this cone is going to be doing this tick damage, right? And if you just use it, this is what it looks like. So you can see those ticks, the tick, 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 tick. That's basically what is doing the damage per tick, right? You're going to get a slow per tick, and then you're going to get a maximum stack of 3, right? So it'll tick, tick, tick. Once you tick it 3 times, that's the maximum stacks that you're going to get on this ability, right? So you're doing all these things. You're slowing them. You're reducing their protections. You can stack that up to 3 times. But the important thing about this is it automatically alerts all 3 of your heads. So you can then use your 1 after using this. It works immediately. Even if you're not hitting anybody, all 3 heads are alert. So you can actually use it, and even if you don't hit somebody with it, you can still use your paralyzing spit afterwards, right? So this synergizes with his 1 really, really well. It's ways to quickly get that stun in your kit to work, right? I've seen people use this multiple different ways. One is for chase down, right? If you're doing this, obviously you slow them, so you're able to close the gap, slow them down, all that stuff, and then use the spit, right, to try and stun them. I've also used it as like a quick way to get your heads turn around. Like when somebody's chasing you, you can quickly, if you don't have all your heads alert, you can quickly use this, right click, turn around, use that stun to like create some distance, right? If you're getting chased down real quick, if you need to get under tower or something like that, you can use it that way too. So you don't have to hit anything with it. It will automatically alert all of his heads, so you can get this as well. And really the best way to use it, right, is you get these stacks on everybody. Once they're it's fully stacked, you've done the damage, you use your 1, and then you're able to stun them as well. So it's a really good lane clearing tool for him as well. And yeah, really good just engage tool to start those fights, to really get in there, slow them down, right, get those charges on the head, and then as they kind of get away, you can use the stun to kind of get back up in their face again. So let's talk about Cerberus's 3rd ability now, right? Cerberus' 3rd ability is called Soul Expulsion. Cerberus leaps a short distance forward, dealing damage on impact and severing the souls of enemies. These souls will not block Cerberus's attacks, and killing these souls heals Cerberus. So you can see the stats down below. First of all, you're doing damage with the leap if you hit somebody with it. The second is soul health. That just means how tanky are those souls that like come out of their body. So as the game gets on and you level this up, the souls will be harder and harder to kill, right? And then you're getting a bigger heal per minion soul that you kill and per god soul that you kill. So there is a difference, and I'll show you that in a second. Basically, this is what the ability looks like. And when you use it to jump on somebody, you're going to see the soul come out of their body. Now, if you munch this soul down, you're going to get that healing, right? Per god, right? So basically, you're doing the damage, and then the souls come out, and killing the souls will heal Cerberus. One thing I wanted to show you was just what it looks like for minions, because if you can get minions grouped up, or like a lot of minions in a wave, this really helps with his sustain. So if you're able to jump on them, let's see if I can get a few from the back too. See how they all come out? The easiest way, obviously, to clear them all at once is using your 2. And as you clear all of them, you're going to be getting that heal per minion. Now, the heals per minion is less than a heal for a god soul, but you can get multiple of them a lot easier, right? With a wave like that, even though it starts at 15 a minion, goes to 55, you get like 3 minions, and that's basically the same per god soul, right? Around the same. So god soul looks like this, right? It will be a lot beefier, and you'll do that damage, but once you kill the god themselves, you're going to get that heal, right? And like I said, as it goes up, the soul's health gets a little bit tankier. It goes up to 220. It should be pretty easy to clear them with your 2. So one way Cerberus uses all 3 of his abilities, right? So we've gone over these first 3 abilities. Ways that people use these together. People will initiate with their 3, right? They will come in to clear a wave. You can basically 3, then 2 the wave, and you're going to be doing a lot of damage and healing yourself and sustaining through it. So it's a really good way to clear it in solo. Is basically his 3-2 combo. You can also start a fight with an enemy god like this, using the breath to heal and do that slow to the enemy gods and the damage and get the ticks, and then use your 1 to then do that extra damage, right? So that's a really good engage tool for him. You can still use it for escapes and things like that. It's a leap, so you can actually leap over walls with it as well. But yeah, because Cerberus, you're normally going to be building him tanky, you can engage with his 3 and be fine most of the time. So you're going to 3, 2, and then 1. That's normally how your combos go. You can start with your 2 as well. So you can start with your 2, right? You can hit them with the stun, and once they're stunned, then come down on them, right? But when you do something like this, right, you might not get all of like the souls because you're going to be focused on getting the god and stuff, and it's harder to clear them with all your basics than with like the cone, right? So maybe you have your head stacked before you engage. So if you do, you're able to 1 them, then you're able to 3 them, and then once you're up close, you can save your 2, right? So sometimes it's a good idea to try and get your head stacked and engage with your 1. So a lot of people will do that with Cerberus, but sometimes your heads aren't always alert and you're not always engaged, right? You can't do that. So you can kind of figure out different ways to engage with your abilities, but I think the best way is get your heads engaged, get them all alert, and then you can start, because you have to hit them at this range with your 1 to stun them. It doesn't work as well up close. This is kind of what you use for your engage. You kind of stun them. Once they're stunned, you can jump in with them on your 3, clear the souls, and start damaging the god with your 2 and things like that as well. So yeah, and then it's alert again for when this comes back up. So let's talk about Cerberus's ultimate ability here, called Stingent Torment. Stingent Torment. Cerberus's haunting wail summons below him the souls of the damned, which then knock up all enemy gods into the air while stretching the link between their bodies and souls, damaging them. This knockup can be cleansed. A short time later, Cerberus uses this link to pull the enemies to him. So what does that mean? Basically, this is the circle that it's in. If any enemy god is caught in this, you're basically going to start raising them up in the air and separating them from their souls. Then after like a short while, you will put them down at this marker in front of Cerberus. So really quick, this is what it looks like. I'll just show you. So they're up in the air here, and you see that marker, right? They're going to go to that marker. So if you move around, if you change where that marker is, you will change where they end up going. I'm going to show you this one more time. So it's a really great team fight tool in Ultimate, kind of like Ares is, right? It's a beads burner. It can be cleansed while they're going up in the air, right? That whole time it can be cleansed, so they can use beads to get out of this. But if you build cooldown, this is normally on a shorter cooldown than beads is, so you're basically going to use this, and then when they beads out of it the first time, wait for the cooldown to happen, and then use it again, right? And then one way you can do that is you can engage really effectively by using your leap to get in, or a blink. Blink is really good on Cerberus. So you can get in, use this ability, and then you can kind of put them to where you want. Now, if you're close to a tower, you can put them under tower. If you're close to your teammates, you can basically ult them, put them in a spot to where like Poseidon can crack in them. You know, you can have all your teammates like dump their kits like in this section, especially if you know they don't have beads because they used them last time, right? The cooldown's not there enough. So if you time it right, you can use this in a team fight very effectively. Get people out of like doing a fire giant, take them out of the fire giant pit, and then so they'd have to like walk back in and get damaged by the fire ring and stuff. Just get them away from certain things, away from your teammates, right? It's a good peeling tool. It's a good engage tool. There's a lot of things that you can do with this. And like I said before, it's a beads burner. It's really effective. So yeah. So basically with all of these, like you kind of use this on cooldown. That's why you want to build cooldown with Cerberus, is so you can kind of get this going and start all of the team fights with it. And Cerberus will initiate a lot in team fights because of this. He's kind of like Ares in a way, where you can basically buy something like Blink, and then at the beginning of a team fight, right, you're like, hey guys, I'm going to go in. Basically blink, alt, here they come. You put them here. You know, you use your 2. Once you got that up, you can hit multiple gods with that. Stun the one on the end if you hit them with all 4, right? You can also like alt them, 3 on them while they're all together, so all those souls come out, and then to them, right? If you're able to use blink to come in there really fast. So I'll show you one more time. So a good combo with it is you basically like blink in, alt them, put them where you want. Once they're there, you jump on them, their souls come out, you chase them down with that, you try and hit them with multiple, you're going to stun the one, right, that gets hit with all 4 of them. And that's basically it. That's the crux of Cerberus and his kit, the way you utilize it together. The takeaways here are his 2 alerts all of his heads, even if you're not even attacking anybody, right, whether you're doing damage to them or not. his 2 slows, and it does those reductions. So make sure you try and hit him at least 3 times to get those max stacks. And then his 1, when all of these are fully lit, you are basically able to stun an enemy god with them. I missed one, right? You can see that kind of range and stuff starts playing into there. Like at max range, that's really where you're able to hit all of them at once. But yeah, you can basically 2-1, heal and sustain with your 3, doing the soul expulsion on minions and enemy gods, killing those minions and healing yourself with it. So yeah, really quick, before we go, I will just talk about some builds with him. I play him as a support. With a support build, you're basically going to start with something like Sentinel's Gift, into Gauntlet of Thebes, but then you're going to go into things like, I personally like things like Breastplate and Pridwin. So if you do Gauntlet of Thebes, you can maybe do Pridwin right away, or Breastplate if you're having mana issues. But with both of these, you will have 40% cooldown, and then you can build other things and other items that are more like utilitarian. You can get your Pestilences, you can get things like Sovereignty and stuff like that. If you don't want to go Breastplate, I know some people like frown on it because it's basically just like mana and cooldown, and they want you to get things like Sovereignty or something instead. You should at least start out with Pridwin, just because it makes you tankier for when you do your ultimate, and it gives you 20% cooldown, so it's really good on Cerberus. And when your ultimate ability finish casting, you gain that shield, and then when the shield's destroyed, it does the magical explosion. So I just want to kind of show you guys what that looks like real quick so you can see it. So not only you're getting in their faces and ulting them, right, but you have a shield, so you're tankier during this time period when you've grouped up all the enemy teammates, and if you stick to them and that shield explodes, you're doing all that that extra like passive damage and stuff like that. So you're at 75% of the shield's initial health, slows targets for another 3 seconds, so you're really keeping them in an area very effectively with Pridwin, so your teammates can follow up on that ultimate, get some kills, and you can wipe out like 2-3 enemies, or you know, maybe even all of them if you do it right. Right, so Pridwin and Gauntlet of Thieves are pretty much a must on him. Then I like to go Pestilence, because one of the reasons you pick Cerberus for anti-heal, normally you're going to want some sort of additional anti-heal with it. So if you're doing the 25% reduction plus his passive, right, this is a really great anti-heal aura item to stack on top of Cerberus's existing passive. So you're going to be doing a lot of anti-heal with just one anti-heal item with Cerberus. So something like Pestilence is really good on him. But you can do basically something like this: Sovereignty, Pestilence, right? With a build like this, you'll be pretty tanky. You're going to be applying like extra protections to your teammates with this. You're going to be really tanky when it comes to magical stuff with Pestilence, plus you're getting the anti-heal aura. If you don't need more anti-heal, you can get things like Heartward or Talisman of Energy or something like that. And then basically you're trying to maybe look, because you only have 20% cooldown, one more cooldown item here. So something like Mantle of Discord would be good. You'll be like really tanky with that. Something like Witchblade would be really good on him. If there are enemy auto attackers, if there's like more than one, so if they have like somebody like a Nemesis or Kali in jungle, and then they have a Hunter, so that's at least 2. This would be good in those team fights. And then if you add a third one, so they say they have like a magical ADC or something like that in mid, like Soul or like Olorun, they use their basic attacks a lot. They build the rings a lot of times. This will be basically like invaluable for something like that. You get a lot of health, cooldown, you get some movement speed for the chase down, things like that as well. You can also go things like Genji's if you know you're getting like burst by magical stuff. If you're getting more burst down by like physical and things like that, like get more physical defense, you could go like Spectral or something, because at least Pridwin's giving you that 20%. But me personally, I like to build a little bit more cooldown like this. I might not go Sovereignty and go Breastplate instead, or even if I don't go Sovereignty, I will do something like a so I'll actually do this, and if I'm not going Breastplate, and I don't go Sovereignty, I will try and build the cooldown as soon as possible. So it will be like I could do Pestilence, Witchblade, Mantle of Discord. This will give me 20% extra on these 2 items to add to Pridwin, so you'll have that total of 40. Something like this is fine. You can even go like the Spirit Robe as well, if you want that damage mitigation and stuff like that, if you're like affected by crowd control and things like that. And then These don't give you any sort of cooldown, but they are still like good on Cerberus if you already have cooldown and stuff like that. So these are just some like basic support items to build on him. I don't think you can go wrong with like a build that's something like this, or like what I just showed you before when it comes to support on him. You'll be tanky, you'll be able to do some damage still, do some chase down, lock him down. When it comes to solo lane, you're gonna build him a little bit different. Warrior's Axe is good on him, just because it's like stealing the health and things like that. But I've seen people do all kinds of builds on him. I've seen people start the Vampiric Shroud build. I've even seen people build like the Conduit Gem on him, and stuff like that in solo lane. So play around with the solo lane. I'm not very good with him in solo lane, so you can probably find other people that do that better when it comes to specific builds for solo lane itself, right? So look into some solo lane builds, but I know you'll build this, and then you can build things like if you still need to do anti-heal, you can rush something like a Divine Ruin, and then that with his passive is going to be really well, and then build tanky, or you can start with Breastplate, a Valor, and then go into something like Void Stone. Stone of Binding on him, I think is more of maybe like an early support item. Stone of Binding depends on if it's like meta or not at the time. But I like this because it does apply extra like magical and physical protection reduction. But I find building this is more of like if he's going to be support, not solo lane, because you want other people to be doing damage to them when you're affecting them by your slow with your 2, or if you stun them with your 1, right? So that's kind of when Stone of Binding comes into play here. But you can get things like Void Stone, Pythags, like some of these items will be good in solo lane. So you'll build a mix of like offense and defense when building him in solo. So yeah, that's about it. That's all the advice that I have. If you want something a little bit more in depth when it comes to Cerberus and solo lane stuff, look for other content creators. I'm sure that they have solo lane builds that work like really, really well, and find out what your meta is currently. Right now we're in the middle of season 9. It might have changed like in the future, right? So there's always things changing when it comes to items and builds. So if you guys haven't already, feel free to check out our Smite server Discord. It's in the description below. Feel free to join that. We basically play Smite together. We teach new players all about like gods, the game modes, like those sorts of things. So if you're seeking help, if you're looking to get better and learn, feel free to join our Discord server. And then also feel free to subscribe to my YouTube page. I'm going to be coming out for a guide video for every single god in Smite. We're almost through the C's here. Eventually we'll get to Z. That'll be the day. But yeah, so if you're looking for more content, feel free to do that. And then check out my Twitch. I do stream a lot, so I'm always streaming like games. I play in the afternoons most of the time, after work and things like that, or on the weekends when I have some free time. So thank you guys very much for watching the video. I appreciate it. If you guys have any other things that you'd suggest that you want me to cover, feel free to comment below. And I will see you guys later. Thank you very much, and have a great day.